Hey, 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 welcome back to another episode of the Simple Nutrition Podcast. So, on today's podcast, I want to talk about simple ways to meal plan your week. So, I was going to do this podcast last week, and then I talked about the difference between being a nutritionist and a dietitian. And and then as I was listening to the previous podcast, I realized that I said that I was going to do meal planning. And so I want to make sure that I do that here. Now, a disclaimer. It is a holiday, so you're gonna hear my son talk, and that's okay because that's what parents do, right? We make it work. So let's start with the importance of meal planning. And this is something that a lot of my clients come to see me because they truly want to learn how to meal prep, how to menu plan, essentially how to help them make healthier decisions on a day-to-day basis during the week when they are super busy. So what we want to do, first things first, right? We want to really organize ourselves and ask ourselves two questions. Number one, what meals do I want to cook? And number two, when do I want to cook them, right? Or when do I want to prepare them? So, because knowing what meals we're going to cook is going to give us that guide, right? As to what ingredients, what groceries we need to buy to have them available. And then the second question is, when do I want to cook? Because then that's going to determine when you are going to be ready for that, right? So I have clients that do Sunday meal preps, right? And they get all their meals ready for the week. I have clients that do go, they cook twice a week on Sundays and then on Wednesdays. Or then I have clients that cook every single day, right? It really depends on what's going to work for you. And also, what's going to give you the consistency. So I have 5 steps for you. But before I do that, I want to tell you that I created a guide, right? I call the Ultimate Meal Planning Guide to simplify your meals. So I will link that guide onto the episode that you can do that. And so you're going to be able to download that guide, use that guide on a week to week basis to help you. So let's get started. So step number one, you want to set your goals, right? Right. Again, with those two questions that I ask you, what is the reason why you want to meal prep, right? And then the other thing too is, do you have any dietary restrictions or any food allergies that you want to consider, or maybe you want to meal prep for your family and you want to consider that something to think about. Um, establish how many meals you need to plan for each day, right? And and for how many people. So if you're only doing it for yourself, then it's a lot easier, right? You plan them, you get them all together. But if it's for your entire family, like in my case, right, there's 4 of us. Obviously, the portions for my kids are going to be smaller. But if I batch cook, meaning that I cook a big amount, then I can divide them up, right? So that's number one. You want to set your goals, right? Determine what kind of meals you want to make. Do you want to add some plant-based meals, maybe meatless Mondays or something like that, to add more of that variety? Or do you want to do theme meals, right? So, for example, I mentioned meatless Monday, Taco Tuesday, Sandwich Wednesday, something like that, right? That maybe might help. And we're gonna get a few more tips that can help you if you have a family and you're like, it's really difficult with my family. Some of the additional tips that I give my clients is delegate some of those tasks to your family, right? So if you have older kids that come home earlier, you can have them get the ingredients ready, right? They can pre-chop things, or they can start cooking the rice if you have a rice cooker, or if your husband comes home earlier, right? He can start cooking or she can start cooking, depending, on what time he or she comes home. But like these meal planning doesn't have to be just you, right? It can be a family affair. And even if you have smaller kids, another thing that I hear from my clients is that I have picky eaters. But what I found, right, and there's some research behind that too, is that when kids are exposed to foods, either hands-on or they're more involved in the process, it helps them to learn about the foods, but it also gives them an opportunity to try the food while they are making it, and that can open up some new ways to add food. So there's some tips there. So that's step one. Step number two, plan your meals. So this is a big one, right? Because you really have to know yourself, right? You really have to understand, okay, if I leave everything for the day off, how do I function that way, right? If I'm really busy and you say to yourself, oh, it's okay, I'll cook on Wednesday, right? Not a problem. But Wednesday comes around and you have meetings or you're so busy and kids are in sports and you have all these things. And so when you come home, there's nothing ready and everybody's hungry and you're hungry or hangry at this point. The likelihood of you making a meal, a healthy meal, a meal that maybe you don't make often, is very low, right? Because you just want to eat and it doesn't matter what it is. And so in order to avoid that challenge or that obstacle, you have to really learn about you, right? Learn about how your day to day is and how, the family dynamics. And so if you already know that you're so busy every single day, the entire week, the meal prepping during the day when you're so the busiest, it's not going to happen, right? So choose a day or choose 1 to 2 days where you can say, okay, I'm able to prep my meal here. Sometimes Sundays work, sometimes it doesn't, right? I have clients that tell me I'm so busy during the weekend that I don't have time. And I do better at doing it, on a Monday morning because I have more time or something like along those lines. Now I have a client that, after trying different things, meal prepping on Sunday, meal prepping in the middle of the week, she found out that meal prepping first thing in the morning, not the entire meal, but cooking a few things, right? If it's rice, she starts cooking that, or she needs to pre-cut vegetables. She does that before leaving to work, right? If that works for you, that's great. And so you really have to know what's gonna work for you. The other thing too is when you plan your meals, right? So let's say, okay, I'm gonna visualize my week. This is what we're gonna have for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? And Saturdays, maybe we have a little bit more time to think about. Now, let's create a grocery list, right? And let's stick to that grocery list. If there are things that you want to add to your grocery list, perfect. But what does the grocery list help you? Is a guide, it's a roadmap when you're going to the store as to, okay, this is what I need for all my meals. Let me get that. And so when you go home and you're ready to meal prep, right, you have everything that you need to get those meals ready, and you're not like scrambling to, do a substitution or whatever the case may be. But when you think about budget wise, and I'm seeing that more and more now that at home we're really, really getting into meal prepping and reducing our food waste, is that when you only buy the ingredients that you need for that week, you don't have a high amount of food waste. You're not wasting your money. Because let's be honest, groceries are very expensive. I almost pay like half of my mortgage in groceries. And that's okay, right? Because I'm making sure that I'm getting the ingredients that I need to help me be successful, during the week, but also without wasting my money. Because, if I waste food, that means I'm wasting my money. So think about those things. And one of the ways to do that is, do I have a lot of food waste? If that is the case, then that means that we're buying just foods, randomly, and we're not using them for our meal preps. So have a grocery list, stick to that grocery list. Second point, there's step 2 of planning your meals. Pick a favorite, variety of recipes. So that way you don't get bored of eating the same foods over and over and over. And because that's one of the reasons why people stop, meal prepping or stop eating healthier or stop following a plan, like a meal plan, because the foods are the same week after week, week after week. And you're like, who wants to eat that? I'm bored. So pick a variety of recipes that you want to rotate. And, as you explore many recipes, add them to your repertoire that you can, that you can use. One of the amazing things about the meal plans that I create, because I love creating meal plans for my patients, my clients, The caveat with that is that I tell them, use the meal plan as a guide, right? Don't use it as like something set in stone. Use it as a guide that is going to help you, explore different flavors, different spices, but you can also add it to a binder. And it could even be a folder in your computer that you can go back to it time after time. And let's say you have these recipes and you get bored of eating that, go back to the other recipes, right? And choose one that you really enjoy. I've had lots of clients that tell me, I have this binder where I put all the recipes that you've given me in your meal plans, and they love that. And that's one of the ways to create your favorite meals, right? So do that. It really helps. The other thing too, when planning your meals, right, is consider batch cooking or preparing your meals in advance for busy days. So batch cooking essentially is that you make a good amount of food, right, that you're going to use for the next few days. I've had other clients tell me, I cannot eat the same food Monday through Friday, right? If I cook the chicken by Friday, I can't eat it, right? The taste is different, or the texture, whatever the case may be. If that's you, then don't do that, right? Because you know that you're gonna, number one, you're gonna do food waste, and number two, you're not gonna eat that meal. So just cook the amount that you know that you can eat. When I create my meal plans, I ask my clients, do you want me to create this meal plan with the same meal Monday through Wednesday and change it for Thursday and Friday, Saturday and Sunday? Do you want me to do every single day a different meal, keeping in mind that it's going to be more groceries and more cooking? Or do you want me to do dinner and leftovers for lunch? Again, it has to work for you, right? And so explore those ideas. But usually the most efficient way is cooking for a couple of days, right? And having it for those days ready and available. And maybe for some reason you don't eat that meal and you know that you're not going to eat it for the rest of the week, and you can freeze it and you can use it for when you're like really busy and you're like, I have no time to cook, right? Get that food out, warm it up, and you're good to go. So that's one of the ways to do some batch cooking. And step number 3, right? Stock your kitchen. So keep staple ingredients on hand that you can use, when you're not able to meal prep or when you're not able to cook your meal right away. Some of those examples are grains, right? Sometimes we think about pre-cooked foods as not as healthy, right? Or that we're cheating. But use them as a convenience. Use it as one of the ways to reduce time, right? So for example, I love the pre-cooked brown rice from Trader Joe's because, it's brown rice, it has been pre-cooked, and we just put it in the microwave. Or if you don't want to use the microwave, you can use it in your cooking process for 3 minutes. And, it's nice and warm. But other ways are pre-cut or pre-chopped vegetables or fruit that you're going to use, and that saves you some time, right? Or pre-cooked proteins. So for example, Costco has a big bulk of already pre-cooked chicken breast. You can have that available, or you can buy a rotisserie chicken that is, usually already cooked, that you can use it for, Wednesday when you're so busy, or Thursday when like there's not going to be time to cook. And that's okay, right? Because you're still getting a healthy and balanced meal. If you don't know what a balanced meal is, go back to my episode. I would say it's episode 2 or 3 where I talk about balanced meals. You can visit my YouTube video and I have it in there too. I'll put the links in the notes in the transcript. But have those staples. Frozen fruits and frozen vegetables are great, right? If they don't have any added sauces, then they're almost like your fresh fruits and vegetables, right? They just have been frozen to last longer. And it's a good idea to have a bag of mixed vegetables or a bag of frozen veggies, whatever you like, just in case, right? Same thing with your fruits, a bag of frozen fruits that you can use. So think about that. Another point in stock your kitchen, right? Invest in appliances that are going to make your life easier. For example, air fryer, right? I use the air fryer every single day, if it's either to warm up food or to meal prep. So for example, when I'm doing the meal prep for my husband, right? And so usually we do like chicken breast or meatballs. He's a meat eater, so we do that. And I'm able to do a bulk, right? I can use the air fryer, but it's gonna take me a short amount of time versus warming up the oven and using the oven. So invest in something that is going to help you do your meal prep more efficiently. If it's, for example, if you love soups, right, and I don't have the time to stay there and stir the soup or whatever, cook the soup at that moment, you can do a slow cooker, right? You can either dump the ingredients the night before or the morning of and let it cook, and then when you come home, then it'll be ready. So there's another one. um but think about other things, right, you maybe want to use. For example, if it's a veggie peeler or a spiralizer, right? Some of those tools that that are going to help you with your meal prep. um, Another way to in the stock your kitchen, step number 3, use your leftovers, right? There's some clients that say I hate like the leftovers, and that's okay, you don't have to use them. But there's some clients that like, I don't care about leftovers, I can eat whatever, but you know that you don't want to eat them the same week, then freeze them, like I mentioned, right? And that helps you, one, with time, but also to save money, to no waste that money, right? Because if you're wasting food, you're wasting money. So that's step number 3. Step number 4, create your meal plan, right? So we talked about the grocery list, and we talked about setting your goals. We talked about looking at what meals you want to make. And so now we're into creating your meal plan, right? And one of the things that I tell my clients is start with the easiest meal, right? Start with the easiest meal that you want to tackle. Because when we focus on the easiest thing that we can do that requires the least amount of effort, it gives us momentum, right? But it also motivates us because we're accomplishing something, and now we can move on to the next thing. So start with the easiest meal. So for some clients, might be breakfast. Okay, let's work with breakfast, right? Let's work with breakfast for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Once you feel comfortable that you're meal prepping them with not a lot of effort, then move on to the second easiest meal. But maybe for some people it's like it's dinner. It's when I have the most time. Is when we're home and I have the ingredients and I can spend some of the time. Then focus on dinner, right? But again, choose the easiest meal that you want to focus on to create that meal plan, right? um, and if it requires the most preparation, then that means that you're going to need more time, right? So think about that as well. And then, like I mentioned, if in your meal plan you're attempting to, or you want to incorporate leftovers, right? So think about it that way. Okay, maybe I'm going to make this recipe for dinner, and the leftovers, I'm going to take them for lunch. Or maybe I'm going to make this meal for Monday, and I want to eat the same meal on Wednesday, right? And Tuesday and Thursday, or something like that. That's another way to create your meal plans. And then aim for balance, right? I can't emphasize this enough. If your meals are not balanced, right? Again, if you haven't listened to my episode on how to balance meals, please check that out, because I provide resources and I show you how to balance meals. But basically what you want to do is that you want to have protein, right? You want to be able to use that 3-2-1 method, at least 3 ounces of protein with every single meal. So plan for that, plan for your grocery list. Include your 2 cups of vegetables, right? Because of the fiber and the protein will keep you satisfied, satiated longer, maintain those blood sugar levels more stable. And then you can add a variety of grains, right? Or carbohydrates, potatoes, peas, corn, tortillas, pastas, noodles, rice, whatever you want to do. You can sprinkle a little bit of healthy fats, right? Avocados, nuts, and seeds to make it that nutritious meal. And why is that? Because again, sometimes clients come to me and tell me, I want to just have more energy, right? And changing their meals, making sure that their meals are balanced, is one of the ways to have more energy, more sustainable energy throughout the day. So there are some examples there. And then step number 5, right? You can actually create your own meal plan. In the ultimate meal planning guide that I have for you, I give you just a quick example of your meals, right? I have Monday through Friday. An example for Monday for breakfast could be overnight oats with fruits and nuts. You can add some protein powder or the ready to use protein drink to add some extra protein. Or you can add eggs or turkey bacon or turkey sausage, whatever you want to do to add extra protein. So check out the sample meal plan that is in the guide, and then in the guide, which is attached to the email, I also give you a more visual meal plan, like a sample meal plan of essentially what I would do for my clients, right? That meal plan is going to have a grocery list included already, and every single recipe telling you how to do that specific meal. So please take advantage of that. If you have a friend that would love this episode or that would love this resource, please share it with him or her or multiple friends if you like. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to my podcast and my YouTube video. You are able, if you're listening right now, you're able to also look at the video. And that's another example or another way to stay connected. But let's recap, right? But before I recap, I want you to take this into account, that you have to be okay with change, right? Be flexible. If something doesn't happen the way that you want it to happen, then be okay with it, right? Just adapt, keep going. Tomorrow is going to be another day. But you also want to reflect on what worked, on what went well, and maybe what were the challenges, because that's going to help you essentially for the next week. So, for example, if maybe you didn't follow a grocery list, right? And in the middle of the week, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have any more ingredients for my meals. What am I going to do now, right? Usually at that time, because we're like so frantic, all right, well, it's going to have to be a frozen pizza or it's going to have to be a takeout. So learn from that, right? Learn from how the week to week goes and the things that we can improve for the following weeks, right? To make our lives easier. So if it's the grocery list, perfect. If it's buying things that are already pre-cut, pre-chopped, or pre-made, then that's okay too. And the most important thing is you have to celebrate your wins, right? As humans, we often focus on the negatives. We often focus on what's not working or what should we do better. And we forget about the things that have worked well, the wins, right? So for example, wow, I feel so proud that I was able to, bring my lunch to work, half of the week. And how did that make me feel, right? Maybe I had more energy. Maybe I didn't have that mid-afternoon slump. So reflect on that and celebrate those wins, right? Because those can be motivators. Those can help you to boost your motivation a little bit, right? So stop and celebrate those wins, right? And reflect on what worked well or what didn't work, and be flexible, right? Meal planning can be simple, but we have to put a little bit of work at the beginning, and then it becomes kind of like a second nature, almost with like everything that we do on a consistent basis. But if you really want to work on the meal planning, right? Work on reducing your food budget or your food waste, or just having meals, right? That you come home and you can say, okay, I'm not spending a lot of time, or I know what to cook, or I know what to feed my family, or I know what to eat. Then absolutely check out my meal planning guide, right? To help you get started and to help you going. And if you're, once you're ready, or when you need a little bit more of a customized or individualized meal plans that can help you with more ideas, let me know. Okay. I'm here to help you. I love making meal plans. And so I would love to be able to support you on that. So my friend, let's recap on the 5 steps to help you meal plan and simplify your meals in your weeks. So number 1 is set your goals, right? Determine what you want to do, determine if there are any food allergies, establish how many meals you want to make. Number 2, plan your meals, right? Choose a day or choose a couple of days that you want to focus on meal planning. pick a variety of recipes that you can use, or that you can compile and have ready for when you want to start making your meals. And also available, right? So you make your grocery list. Consider cooking in advance or batch cooking to reduce the time that you spend in the kitchen. Step number 3, stock your kitchen, right? You have to have the ingredients to be able to cook and make your meals, either frozen or fresh, or pre-cooked or pre-chopped, that can make your life a little easier. Use leftovers for other meals if you want to, or you can freeze them and use them for another time, and that's another option. Step number 4, create your meal plan, right? Start with the easiest meal and stay consistent with that, and then follow the next time, do the second easiest meal until you feel confident and competent that you can essentially tackle all your meals. Again, incorporate those leftovers if you want to. Cook a dinner and use it for your lunch, or cook a meal and use it for multiple times during the week. That's totally fine. And focus on that balance, right? Focus on balancing your meals. Choose using that 3-2-1 method. At least 3 ounces of protein, 2 cups of veggies, and then your 1 serving of starches or fruit or grains. Step number 5, create your meal plan, right? The meals that you want to do. If you're so visual, use a calendar, right? That can also help your family to see, okay, this is what we're having on Tuesday. I'm ready, and this is what to expect, right? And it kind of reduces that uncertainty of what am I going to cook, or what is mom going to make. It's already there. Family can go and look at it, and that really helps. And create it for every single day, right? If it's so overwhelming, start with half of the week, or whatever works for you. But ideally, you want to create it for the entire week, because usually we grocery shop for the entire week, right? So you want to get those ingredients that you need for your meals for that entire week. And that's going to help you to reduce your budget, to reduce food waste, but also to keep your meals nutritious and balanced, and keep your energy levels high throughout the day. And it's okay to not be perfect all the time, right? Be flexible, reflect on what worked, reflect on what didn't work, and what you can do better for the next week, and celebrate your wins. All right, my friend. So I hope this episode was helpful for you. Use these tips, right? Share it with a friend, share it with a family member that needs to learn about these tips, needs to learn how to meal prep successfully. And again, check out that guide in the show notes. And yeah, let's get meal prepping. All right. Well, you take care. Thank you so much for your time. Stay safe, stay strong, and I will talk to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye for now.